Bad boy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to downtown San Jose. We're in California, and this is your Saturday Evening Post Week in Review. My name is Chris Wakefield, and I am the marketing manager for the Saturday Evening Post.
Jeff Nelson, Director of Archives.
Troy Brownfield, staff writer.
A little bit of a different show this week. Obviously, we're on location, but first, we want to tell you that, again, you can subscribe to the Saturday Evening Post for the low price of only $15 a year. That $15 gets you access to our full online archive, 6 new issues of the Post in your mailbox every single year, or in your email inbox, print or digital, and a lot more, including exclusive member benefits. Again, you can subscribe over at SaturdayEveningPost.com/subscribe. 1 year to the Post is only $15. So it's been a really busy week in news, obviously. The first thing I want to talk about, which is what's on everyone's mind this week, is the death of former President George H.W. Bush. Jeff, how have you seen this really affect the nation?
You blindsided me. How do I see George W. Bush affecting the nation?
George H.W. Bush.
Okay. You want to try that again? You want to give me the question? All right, we can
run
go
through it.
I
It's
think
fine.
that the nation is struck by the change in character of the presidency in the years since George H.W. Bush was president. There's been a relatively short time historically, but a great amount of change in that relatively short time. And I think people are, mourning the passing of an era.
And Troy, we've kind of seen this where Bush's legacy is, in a way, being rewritten as his funeral and as this week goes on.
Right. I think that if you look really closely, it has a much more complicated legacy than is being portrayed. But, the overall consensus is he was a man of character. He was undoubtedly a war hero. He's interesting in that he's one of the few presidents who has a child who's a president. He is well known for having a very long-lasting marriage. He did a lot of things that people consider admirable in public, and so I think a lot of that has been elevated, and some of the other things have been downplayed during this particular week. I think there will be a continuing reevaluation, and more people will look at some of the complications as things move along. But there's definitely, like Jeff said, kind of a feeling of a loss of class around the office right now, and he reflected a more civilized time with especially a lot of reprints of the note he left Bill Clinton when he was leaving office.
And, of course, we covered George Bush back when he was running for the presidency in our October 1988 issue. There's a lot that you can find over at SaturdayEveningPost.com this week about George W. Bush. Ben Railton did a piece. Nick Gilmore did a piece, I believe, also. So you can kind of take a look back and see what we at the Post thought about George Bush back when he was running for president in 1988. Again, over at SaturdayEveningPost.com. We're also coming up on, it's kind of a bit of a grim week. This week we have the 77th, I believe, anniversary, Jeff, of Pearl Harbor, December 7th.
That's right. And, we're still honoring the 75th anniversary of the Second World War, which was all kicked off on December 7th, 1941, 77 years ago. And the Post has done several pieces and even did a whole special issue on Pearl Harbor that brought up some of the coverage we had of the people at the time and the people looking back on that event that was so pivotal in American history. One of the things that we found that is surprising is that after years of Hollywood's treatment of Pearl Harbor, when everything emphasized it was such a big surprise, nobody expected anything like this. America was very well expecting something like this. The only surprise was that it was in Hawaii. They thought it was going to happen in one of the islands closer to Japan. So America was not taken by surprise as much as Hollywood would portray. But it does make a better movie.
And being here in San Jose, California, we kind of see, we passed some holding buildings for blimps that you said were being built during the Second World War. I think the reality of the war was a bit more real here in California, maybe.
That's right. They thought, well, we're just right next door to Japan. Never mind that there was just thousands of miles separating us. But the West Coast was certainly feeling under attack at the time, that they were the front line of defense in our war against Japan, and which prompted quite a bit of paranoia in Los Angeles, as you might remember from other movies like
Right. Exactly. And it's weird that none of us were alive during Pearl Harbor.
Speak for yourself.
Especially me. But it was such a huge event in American history, Troy. We all know about it, and we still commemorate it every single year, 77 years later.
Right. Both of my grandfathers were in the Navy during World War II, and so I've heard things and even seen some photographs. And so it's interesting how one event serves as a call to action. Like Jeff said, it wasn't entirely unexpected, but it's a thing that galvanized the country and helped remobilize the economy after the Great Depression. I mean, we talk about the war effort, as we know it, buy war bonds, recycle paper, et cetera. This began there, and it really reinvigorated the country in a way. So it's kind of interesting to hear about that and how there was a generation of people that were willing to kind of step up and join this fight, because even if it was expected in a way, it was still considered very diabolical in terms of what happened, and more to the point, really pushed us back onto a stage that we'd been avoiding.
It hit home. Literally, it hit home for Americans. And again, you can find those pieces over at SaturdayEveningPost.com. Lots of coverage on World War II with our D-Day SIP and, of course, Pearl Harbor.
And if I could add one more point, Japan would never have gone to war with us, or Germany, if they didn't believe that this country was split right down the middle between the haves and the have-nots, between the whites and the blacks, and the Native Americans and the Hispanics. America is divided, they said. Now's the time to strike, which then sort of argues for today, what sort of image are we portraying to the world and to our enemies?
It'd be really interesting, again, if you are a Saturday Evening Post member, go online to our online archive and see how the Post handled the fallout from Pearl Harbor. Really interesting stuff. Another piece you can find over at SaturdayEveningPost.com. Troy, we are in the Christmas season, as you can see here in downtown San Jose. You did a piece on overlooked Christmas specials for television.
Right. When you look at the Christmas special tradition, we kind of isolated it into shows that were made individually as specials versus special episodes of ongoing series, because you really get into the hundreds. And I wanted to look at shows that were specifically made as holiday specials have been overlooked. So not your regular Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, not your Frosty, not the perennials that happen, but the other ones, which of which there are many and several are cool. Everybody knows Charlie Brown Christmas. They might not know there are 3 additional Charlie Brown Christmas specials. Also in the Rudolph canon, the first sequel to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was Rudolph's Shiny New Year, which is crazy and has a Post connection because it has a character that's basically Ben Franklin. In the special, Father Time calls Rudolph in to help him find the New Year's baby, because the New Year's baby has run away because he's being made fun of for his overly large ears. And if the New Year's baby is gone, then the new year can't happen. And so Rudolph, having been bullied himself and having been trusted by Santa to undertake missions, goes on this mission for Father Time to find the baby. And he goes to this archipelago of past years in which different years are represented by characters. And 1776 has been Franklin. And there's also a knight and a caveman, and it's a crazy special. It's one of those things that you watch and you think, wow, what were Rankin Bass on when they were making this? But it was made in the 70s too, so draw your own conclusions. But it was incredibly different and a really interesting take. And it's got one very touching scene when Rudolph encounters the baby and tries to explain that he himself had this history of bullying, which includes a traditional hand-drawn cell animation version of Rudolph's origin set to the original song, which is kind of a neat take to take in amidst the puppet animation. I also talked about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, which was a Jim Henson Company film that was made for Canada originally. It was made for Canadian Broadcast Company and then shown in the States on HBO for several years until it moved over to ABC. And then one that I like personally a lot, Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, which was a direct-to-video and TV Christmas special that Disney did, but it's mainly notable for wrapping up the Goofy and Max story, because it was the Goof Troop series about Goofy and his son Max, and then the subsequent movies that like theatrical films, a Goofy movie and so forth, had a couple of sequels. The Christmas Maximus segment has Max coming home from college to introduce his girlfriend to his dad Goofy, and he really wants her to like him, but he's also painfully embarrassed at the same time because his dad is Goofy.
Well, wouldn't we all be?
And it's a really interesting kind of father-son reconciliation thing. And it's notable because after that, Max has not appeared in any Disney animation in the subsequent 14 years since that came out. So they basically consider that story closed.
Yeah, he's like the other Brady kid who went upstairs and never came back
they
down.
just close it out. You know, it's
Right.
it's done.
Jeff, did a younger Jeff Nielsen ever sit down in front of the TV and watch any Christmas specials on TV?
We didn't have television. We didn't.
Well, after the Civil War ended.
We had a fireplace,
Okay.
and that was good enough for us, by God.
We had shadow.
So no fond memories of the
No,
Rudolph and the I'm Mr. Heat Miser, I'm Mr. Snow. I mean, those are amazing. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Okay, we have to educate Jeff on Christmas specials for TV. We'll introduce you to these amazing Christmas specials. Again, you can read Troy's piece over at SaturdayEveningPost.com. I've said it once, I'll say it again. You can subscribe to the Post online. SaturdayEveningPost.com/subscribe. A 1-year membership gets you, it's only $15. It gets you 6 new issues of the Post and in your mailbox every single year. Unlimited access to our online archives where you can look at all of this stuff and a lot more. Only $15. SaturdayEveningPost.com/subscribe. Go check it out. Or it's the Christmas season. Buy it as a gift for the history lover in your family. Jeff, if you want to find you on Twitter, how can we do that?
You will find me at Jeff Nilsson.
Troy?
At Troy Brownfield
And
with
you-
a Y in the middle.
With a Y in the middle, not at the beginning. You can find me online at Wakefield Report, and you can find the Post everywhere at Saturday Evening Post. That's all we have this week from downtown San Jose. We'll see you all next week. We're gonna go ice skate here on the rink.